Look, here's something that's going to change how you think about women forever. Right now, as you're watching this, there's a woman somewhere thinking about a man who gets it. A man who understands the game beneath the game. A man who knows that what she says and what she actually wants are often two completely different universes. And if you stick with me for the next 25 minutes, you're going to become that man. You're going to understand the hidden psychology, the unspoken desires, and the secret language that 90% of men never even realize exists. I've spent the last 15 years studying human attraction, reading everything from Robert Greene's The Art of Seduction to Helen Fisher's groundbreaking research on the neurochemistry of love. I've analyzed thousands of interactions, studied the masters like Mystery, David D'Angelo, and even the philosophical insights of Marcus Aurelius on human nature. And what I'm about to share with you isn't theory from some pickup artist manual. This is the raw, unfiltered truth about female psychology that she'll never tell you directly, but her behavior screams it every single day. See, women have been socialized their entire lives to be indirect communicators. Society has taught them that directly expressing their desires makes them appear needy, aggressive, or unfeminine. So instead, they've developed this incredibly sophisticated system of hints, tests, and behavioral cues. They're constantly communicating what they want, but they're doing it in a language that most men are completely illiterate in. It's like she's speaking Mandarin, and you're trying to respond in broken Spanish. The message gets lost, the connection dies, and both of you walk away frustrated. But here's where it gets interesting. The men who truly understand women, the ones who seem to effortlessly attract and keep high-quality women, they've cracked this code. They've learned to read between the lines, to understand the subtext, and to give women what they actually want rather than what they say they want. And the difference between these men and everyone else isn't luck, looks, or money. It's understanding. It's emotional intelligence applied with masculine intention. The first thing she'll never ask for but desperately wants you to do is to take the lead without her having to tell you how. This goes deeper than just planning dates or making decisions about where to eat dinner. I'm talking about emotional leadership, the kind that makes her feel safe to be feminine in your presence. Robert Greene talks about this extensively in The Art of Seduction when he describes the rake archetype. The rake doesn't ask permission for every move he makes. He reads the situation, makes calculated decisions, and takes responsibility for the outcome. Women are constantly making decisions all day long. They're managing their careers, their social lives, their families, their emotions. By the time she's with you, she wants to exhale. She wants to feel like she can trust you to handle things, to navigate the complexities of the interaction so she doesn't have to. But here's the crucial part that most men miss completely. Taking the lead doesn't mean being controlling or dismissive of her input. It means being so attuned to her energy, her responses, and her unspoken communication that you can guide the interaction in a way that feels natural and exciting for both of you. Think about it this way. When you're dancing with a woman, someone has to lead and someone has to follow, or you'll both end up stepping on each other's feet. The lead isn't more important than the follow, but someone needs to set the rhythm and direction. The same principle applies to every interaction you have with a woman. She wants to feel your masculine energy, creating the container within which her feminine energy can flow freely. This means making decisions about where you're going, what you're doing, and how the interaction unfolds without constantly seeking her approval or validation. It means reading her body language, her energy levels, her responses, and adjusting accordingly without her having to verbally direct you. When you do this successfully, something magical happens. She starts to relax into her feminine essence because she trusts that you've got everything handled. The second thing she'll never ask for but craves on a cellular level is for you to challenge her intellectually and emotionally. This is where most nice guys completely fall apart. They think that agreeing with everything she says and never creating any friction is the path to her heart. They couldn't be more wrong. David D'Angelo built an entire methodology around this concept with his cocky and funny approach. But it goes much deeper than just teasing or being playful. Women are attracted to men who stimulate them on multiple levels. Yes, physical attraction matters, but what keeps her thinking about you long after you're gone is the mental and emotional stimulation you provide. She wants to feel like she has to work a little bit to earn your approval and attention. She wants to feel challenged, intrigued, and slightly off balance in the best possible way. This doesn't mean being disagreeable for the sake of being difficult. It means having your own opinions, your own values, and your own standards, and not compromising them just to avoid conflict or to make her comfortable. When she says something, instead of immediately agreeing, actually think about it. Do you really agree? Is there another perspective worth exploring? Can you add depth to the conversation by sharing a different viewpoint? Marcus Aurelius wrote in his Meditations about the importance of thinking for yourself and not being swayed by the opinions of others. This Stoic principle applies perfectly to interactions with women. She doesn't want a man who becomes whatever she wants him to be. She wants a man who knows who he is and stands firm in that identity, even when it creates tension or disagreement. The challenge should extend beyond just intellectual discourse. Challenge her assumptions about herself, about you, about the situation you're in. If she says she's not the type of person who does something spontaneous, challenge that belief by creating an opportunity for spontaneity and seeing how she responds. If she presents herself as always being in control, create a safe space where she can let go of that control and see what emerges. The third thing that drives women absolutely wild, but they'll never directly request, is authentic masculine presence. I'm not talking about the toxic masculinity that society has rightfully rejected. I'm talking about the deep, grounded, confident presence that comes from a man who is completely comfortable in his own skin and aligned with his purpose. This is what Mystery was really teaching with his concepts of social proof and pre-selection, though he often framed it in more superficial terms. The underlying principle is that women are incredibly attracted to men who other people respect and admire, men who have a clear sense of their own value and don't need external validation to feel good about themselves. Authentic masculine presence means speaking with conviction, moving with purpose, and occupying space without apology. It means making direct eye contact, having a firm handshake, and carrying yourself like you belong wherever you are. But here's what most men miss about presence. It's not about being loud or dominating or trying to prove how alpha you are. True presence is actually quite calm and centered. It's the energy of a man who has nothing to prove because he already knows his worth. Women can feel this energy from across a room. They can sense when a man is operating from a place of authenticity versus when he's trying to be something he's not. And they're drawn to the authentic version like moths to a flame, because it's so rare in today's world of social media personas and constant performance. This presence also manifests in how you handle challenges and setbacks. A man with authentic masculine presence doesn't get rattled when things don't go according to plan. He adapts, he problem solves, he maintains his composure under pressure. Women find this incredibly attractive because it signals that you can be relied upon when life gets difficult. The fourth thing she's silently hoping for is emotional depth and vulnerability, but presented in a masculine frame. This is where the modern dating landscape has created massive confusion. The pendulum has swung from the strong, silent type who never showed emotion to the overly emotional man who uses his feelings as a way to manipulate or control. What women actually want is somewhere in the middle. They want a man who has full access to his emotional range, but who expresses those emotions from a place of strength rather than weakness. They want to feel like they can trust you with their own emotions because you're not going to be overwhelmed or threatened by them. This means being able to share your struggles, your fears, your dreams, and your passions without needing her to fix you or validate you. It means being emotionally available without being emotionally needy. The difference is crucial, and it's something that Helen Fisher discusses extensively in her research on attachment styles and romantic love. When you share something vulnerable with a woman, you're not looking for her to rescue you or tell you everything is going to be okay. You're sharing because you trust her with that part of yourself and because vulnerability creates intimacy. But you're doing it from a place of choice, not desperation. You're letting her into your inner world because you want to, not because you need to. The fifth element that women crave but rarely ask for directly is unpredictability and adventure. This doesn't mean being unreliable or chaotic. It means being the kind of man who keeps life interesting, who breaks patterns, who creates experiences that she'll remember and talk about for years to come. Most men fall into predictable routines in their relationships. Same restaurants, same activities, same conversations. They become comfortable, which kills attraction faster than almost anything else. Robert Greene talks about this in The Art of Seduction, when he discusses the importance of creating emotional highs and lows, of keeping your target slightly off balance and never quite sure what to expect next. This principle applies whether you're trying to attract a woman or keep one interested long-term. She wants to feel like being with you means her life will be more exciting, more adventurous, more full of possibility than it would be without you. She wants to feel like you're the kind of man who says, "Let's go to Paris this weekend," and actually means it, even if the actual destination is just a new part of town she's never explored. The unpredictability should extend to your communication style, your date ideas, your physical touch, even your emotional responses. If she can predict exactly how you're going to react to everything she says or does, she'll quickly lose interest because there's no mystery left to uncover. But here's the key that most men miss completely. The unpredictability needs to feel safe. She needs to trust that even though she can't predict what you'll do next, she can trust that whatever you do will be good for both of you. This requires developing the kind of judgment and emotional intelligence that comes from experience and self-awareness. The sixth thing she's hoping for, but will never explicitly request, is for you to have standards and boundaries that you actually enforce. This is perhaps the most counterintuitive aspect of female psychology for most men. They think that being accommodating and flexible is attractive, when in reality, women are drawn to men who know what they will and won't accept. This goes back to the challenge principle I mentioned earlier, but it's specifically about behavioral boundaries. She wants to know that you're not going to tolerate disrespect, manipulation, or behavior that doesn't align with your values. Not because you're controlling, but because you value yourself and the relationship enough to maintain certain standards. When a woman tests you, and she will test you, she's not trying to make your life difficult. She's trying to figure out if you're the kind of man who stands by his word, who has a backbone, who won't compromise his values just to keep her happy. These tests might look like showing up late without calling, flirting with other men in front of you, or pushing against something you've said is important to you. How you respond to these tests determines everything about how she sees you going forward. If you ignore the behavior or make excuses for it, you've failed the test. She'll lose respect for you and her attraction will begin to fade. If you address it directly but without anger or drama, maintaining your standards while still treating her with respect, you pass the test and her attraction intensifies. Marcus Aurelius wrote extensively about the importance of maintaining your principles regardless of external circumstances. This Stoic wisdom applies perfectly to relationships. Your standards aren't negotiable based on how beautiful she is or how much you want to be with her. They're consistent expressions of your values and self-respect. The seventh element that women find irresistible but rarely ask for is competence and mastery in your chosen field. This isn't about being rich or successful in the traditional sense. It's about being excellent at something, being passionate about your craft, and constantly working to improve yourself. Women are attracted to men who are on a mission, who have something in their lives that they're building, creating, or pursuing with dedication and skill. This could be your career, your art, your business, your physical fitness, your intellectual pursuits, anything that demonstrates your ability to commit to something and excel at it. This attraction to competence is hardwired into female psychology because it signals that you have the ability to provide and protect, not just financially, but in all the ways that matter. A man who has mastered something has demonstrated patience, persistence, problem-solving ability, and the capacity for long-term thinking. These are all qualities that make for a good partner and potential father. But here's what makes this really attractive to women. It's not just the competence itself, it's the passion and energy you bring to your pursuits. When you talk about your work, your goals, your projects, she should be able to feel your excitement and dedication. She should see that you're the kind of man who doesn't just coast through life, but actively works to create the reality you want. This also means continuing to grow and improve, even when you're in a relationship with her. One of the biggest mistakes men make is becoming complacent once they've gotten the girl. They stop pursuing their goals, stop working on themselves, stop being the interesting, dynamic man she was originally attracted to. The men who keep women interested long-term are the ones who never stop becoming better versions of themselves. The eighth thing she's secretly hoping for is physical dominance expressed through confident touch and presence. This is a sensitive topic in today's culture, but it's crucial to understand that there's a difference between aggressive dominance and confident masculine energy. Women are attracted to men who are comfortable with physical touch, who initiate contact naturally and confidently, and who can create sexual tension through their presence and touch without being pushy or inappropriate. This isn't about forcing yourself on someone or ignoring consent. It's about understanding that women want to feel your masculine energy, and they want to feel desired. This means being the one who initiates a hug, who puts your hand on the small of her back when walking through a door, who pulls her closer during a photo, who creates physical contact that feels natural and confident rather than hesitant or seeking permission. The key word here is calibration. You need to be able to read her responses and adjust accordingly, escalating when she's receptive and backing off when she's not. David D'Angelo and other dating coaches have written extensively about the importance of physical touch in creating attraction. But the deeper principle is about energy. When you touch a woman confidently, you're communicating something about your masculine energy and your comfort with yourself. You're showing her that you're not afraid of her feminine power and that you're confident enough to engage with it directly. This physical confidence needs to extend beyond just touch to how you move through the world. Women are attracted to men who walk with purpose, who gesture with intention, who occupy space without apology. Your physical presence should communicate strength, confidence, and groundedness. The ninth element that women crave but will never directly ask for is emotional leadership during difficult times. This is where boys are separated from men in the attraction game. Anyone can be charming and confident when things are going well. But how do you handle yourself when she's upset, when there's conflict, when emotions are running high? Most men either shut down emotionally or get pulled into the emotional chaos. Neither response is attractive to women. What she wants is a man who can remain calm and centered while still being emotionally available and supportive. She wants to feel like you can handle her emotions without being overwhelmed by them or trying to fix them. This requires developing what I call emotional aikido. Instead of fighting against her emotional energy or trying to shut it down, you learn to acknowledge it, validate it, and redirect it in a more positive direction. You become the calm in the storm, the steady presence that helps her process her emotions and return to center. This doesn't mean being emotionless or disconnected. It means being so secure in yourself and so skilled at managing your own emotional state that you can be present with her emotions without losing yourself in them. It means being able to say things like, "I can see you're really upset about this. Tell me what's going on," instead of "calm down," or "you're being irrational." Marcus Aurelius wrote about the importance of maintaining your equanimity regardless of external circumstances. This Stoic principle is incredibly powerful in relationships. When you can remain centered and thoughtful even when she's emotional or upset, you demonstrate a level of emotional maturity that she finds incredibly attractive and reassuring. The 10th and perhaps most important thing she'll never ask for, but desperately wants, is for you to have a clear vision for your life and the confidence to pursue it. Women are attracted to men who are going somewhere, who have goals and dreams, and the backbone to pursue them even when it's difficult. This isn't about having everything figured out or being perfect. It's about being clear on your values, having some sense of where you want your life to go, and being willing to make decisions and take action even when the outcome is uncertain. It's about being the kind of man who builds rather than just consumes, who creates rather than just criticizes, who leads rather than just follows. When a woman meets a man with a clear vision, she starts to imagine what her life could look like as part of that vision. She starts to see possibilities that she didn't see before. She feels excited about the future because being with you means being part of something bigger than just day-to-day existence. This vision doesn't have to be grandiose or world-changing. It could be building a business, raising a family, creating art, serving your community, developing your spiritual life, pursuing adventure, anything that gives your life direction and meaning. What matters is that you're passionate about it and committed to making it happen. The vision also needs to include her, but not in a needy or dependent way. She wants to feel like you'd be pursuing your goals and living your values whether she's there or not, but that having her there would make the journey even better. She wants to feel chosen, not needed. She wants to feel like an addition to your already fulfilling life, not the missing piece that makes your life complete. Robert Greene talks about this extensively in The Laws of Human Nature, when he discusses the power of having a sense of purpose and direction. People are naturally drawn to those who seem to know where they're going, because it makes them feel like their own lives have more direction and meaning. Now here's what ties all of these elements together. None of this is about manipulation or trickery. It's about becoming the kind of man that high-quality women naturally want to be with. It's about developing yourself to the point where you embody the qualities that create genuine attraction and connection. The reason women won't ask for these things directly is partly cultural conditioning, but it's also because asking for them would fundamentally change their nature. If she has to tell you to take the lead, you're not really leading. If she has to ask you to challenge her, the challenge loses its power. If she has to request that you be more confident, you're demonstrating the opposite of confidence. These qualities need to come from within you, from your own development and understanding, not from her instructions or guidance. They need to be authentic expressions of who you are as a man, not performances you put on to get her attention. This is why the work of becoming attractive to women is really the work of becoming a better man in general. The qualities that make you attractive to women: emotional intelligence, confidence, leadership, purpose, integrity, competence. These are the same qualities that make you successful in every area of life. The men who truly understand women and consistently attract high-quality partners aren't using tricks or techniques. They've done the work of developing themselves into the kind of men that women naturally want to be with. They've studied the psychology of attraction, they've worked on their own emotional development, they've built lives worth sharing with someone else. And here's the final piece that most men never understand. Once you develop these qualities, once you become this kind of man, you don't need to chase women or convince them to be with you. They're drawn to you naturally because you embody what they're looking for. The whole dynamic shifts from you trying to get her to like you to her trying to earn your interest and attention. This is the ultimate goal of understanding female psychology and developing yourself as a man. Not to manipulate or control, but to become so aligned with your own masculine essence that the right women are naturally drawn to you and want to be part of your life. The journey to becoming this kind of man isn't easy, and it doesn't happen overnight. It requires honest self-assessment, continuous learning, and the willingness to step outside your comfort zone again and again. But the rewards go far beyond just attracting women. You'll find that every area of your life improves when you commit to this level of personal development. So take these insights, apply them to your own life, and start becoming the man who doesn't need to ask what women want because he already embodies it. Start becoming the man that she's secretly hoping to meet, the one who understands the game beneath the game and plays it with integrity, confidence, and masculine wisdom. Remember, attraction isn't something you do to someone, it's something you become. And when you become the kind of man I've described today, when you embody these qualities authentically and consistently, you'll find that the women you want to attract are already looking for you too.